Okay, from the virtual room, did you hear me? No. Abimbola Afolayan, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. You present, you are the speaker of your paper?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, 2 minutes. Yes, because we have no time because there is the closing ceremony, so we can be late today. Yeah. So I think that we can start. So good morning. I'm pleased to moderate this session. So I'm Martina Cara from Italy, University of Brescia. And okay, today, you know, this is a general track, so it's a little bit hard to make an introduction because it's consists of 5 papers, 5 contributions, and the topics are a little bit different. So we have not more time. So I'm starting. So we go for the first paper. The speaker is Teresa Pedretti. And the title is Super Trento, a practice-led design projects for urban transformations. And please, so for the timing, search to stay in a maximum of 15 minutes for the presentations. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here for this last day of the conference. And I would also thank you, Professor Martina Cara, for introducing me. My name is Teresa Pedretti, and I am a philosopher and a sociologist. And since 2012, I run, together with 5 architects and engineers, a transdisciplinary collective based in Trento called Campo Marzio. And I have only recently and actually later in my life returned back to academia, and I am currently a PhD candidate in experimental research to design art and technology at the Free University of Bolzano under the supervision of Professor Letizia Bollini. Today, I'm gonna give you a presentation on the practice-led design process for urban transformation called Super Trento. As the acronym suggests, As the acronym itself suggests, Super Trento is a participatory process realized in 2023 by the Municipality of Trento in collaboration with Campo Marzio, with the aim to involve citizens in co-designing the urban transformation of a huge 16-hectare railway area. The final goal of this process was to produce a new kind, we can call it a new kind of policy design-based document, which we referred to the guidelines throughout the process, to consolidate what was the expectation, the vision, the concern, and the recommendation expressed by the participants, the citizenship throughout the process.
Sorry, Teresa. Can you share the slide on the virtual room because there are...
Okay.
Sorry,
I can do it.
Go to Chrome. Yes.
This one.
Yes,
okay.
Select this. Sorry.
Super. To ekran?
Yes, it's on screen.
Okay, it's fine on screen.
No.
No.
The other.
Pensare.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, super. And I would like to begin my presentation by giving you a brief overview of the context in which urban transformation are taking places in medium and large Western cities. Indeed, alongside with the need to rethink these huge and vast urban areas left vacant by industrial complexes, cities governance today are facing an increasing of complexity and numerosity of the people of the cities. And before I tell you about the structure and the method of the practice-led design process, as well as the specific focus and so on, I would like to review the scope of the participatory process that takes place in Trento. And where in the last 20 years, the municipality already experimented with the different kind of new collaborative government assets or new decision-making models. Next, I would like to outline the main results we collect and open them for discussion together with further research perspective that I found could be interesting. So, as I was saying just a few minutes ago, the crisis of the economic model in which the Western cities were based forced them to change, because the city has started to change, and also there is a new demand in contemporary cities for a shift from a culture of urban expansion to a culture of transformation and regeneration of huge urban area. So in the meanwhile, in our cities, we can see different social classes growing, cultural backgrounds, people coming from different backgrounds, and a highly varied living need context. And all these kind of complexity are also forces that competing between them. And these forces the municipality to experiment with a new decision-making process that in some cases are going beyond what is the urban planning discipline toward a transdisciplinary approach and methodology to think about the urban transformation and regeneration. So what happened? No. Okay. What happened in Trento is that since 2001, the Catalan urbanist Juan Busquet envisioned this first idea of the undergrounding of this huge railway area. Indeed, since that time, so more than 20 years ago, a phase of reflection and debate started. And also at that time, not only about the infrastructure itself, but also on the future of this huge area, which is located in the downtown of the city of Trento. And so what happened is movements advocating for new models that minimize environmental and social impact were present at the same time with those who prefer remaining in an old business model for the development of the cities, promoting real estate, huge real estate approaches. And so to keep the coherence of the city and to try to avoid conflicts, different labs arose to define a new strategy and search new tools to make the city and the inhabitant of Trento at the core of the debate, instead of leaving the real estate or whatever at the core of the discussion. When the municipality of Trento called us to try to imagine together how to face this huge transformation, we found that there was a lot of examples of experiments in civics, participatory process, co-design workshop, and whatever for new urban area or for the transformation of different urban sites. But we found also that there was little literature describing the process and the method used to to build up a process of 1 year long. So we decided to design a practice-led process called Super Trento, and it has been a process that we design and then experiment into reality. And now after the conclusion, we try to develop a method. So feedbacks, of course, are welcome, because it's like trying to assume the method from the experience. So the process was divided into 3 phases. It was designed to last 1 year, then it lasted about 15 months. And it was launched in the end of December 22, but we can say it started in January 23. And the guidelines, the final output, was presented in March 2024. The 3 phases in which the process has been divided gave also the name to the payoff of the process, which is inform, imagine, and participate. Of course, it was in Italian, informati, immagina, partecipa. So we get the first part of the process from January until May, and we engage Viva 764 individuals coming from different backgrounds. I mean, third sector, professional entities, committees, professional, citizen concern with the city's future. And at the same time, we develop an Instagram account, which is super_Trento, that began to post 2 content per week in order to inform people not only about the transformation that was going on and was started, but also about the existence of the process itself. Then, starting from all the concern we collect, the issues, but also the idea and the vision we collected during these first phases, we designed the second part of the process. The second part has the focus to allow the people to make their own idea about the future of this huge area, make their own idea about what Trento was needed, what could be done for making the city a better place to live. And core activities of this part of the process has been 4 thematic workshops grouped under potential functional area. So we had the mobility and transport, housework and enterprise, well-being and sport, and then culture, creativity, and urban regeneration. What we did with the Instagram account in this phase of the process is similar. So we did 2 posts per week in order to invite to the meeting, but also to spread what the testimonials said during this workshop, this workshop, because during this workshop we invited testimonials coming from similar or different contexts to tell us what they do in similar processes. Then it happens after the summer, the third phase that is more a proper co-design phase, more of co-design activities in which people were invited to define together between all the things we collected we can do, then what we will do in this area. It consisted of 3 incremental workshops. That means that we define a first vision in the first workshop, and then we refine, redesign, and get to the point with the other 2 workshops that was held 1 week apart. The account in this phase posted also still 2 content per week in order to recap previous decision and to involve a lot of different people. And in this phase, we had 170 persons that takes part. So when we arrive in March 24, we present the guideline, what we call the guideline, and it is a kind of policy design based document in which there are principles but there are also design schemes and a lot of different technicalities, technical recommendation in order to be the base of the future master plan developed for the area. So is not a master plan, is something new that will be useful for policy, not only related to urban planning, but also to culture, sports, well-being, social affairs, and so on. Then, what can I say today after the conclusion of the process, and to open also the discussion if it is possible and if we have time. We had a primary challenge that was to bring, to design a process that allowed the effective participation of the people. We, as well as the municipality of Trento, were not interested in make a fake participation process with the design of the area already in our pocket. We really want to enable effective participation. Therefore, the first ideas, the first decision was to not to have technician table or technician workshop going in parallel with the workshop dedicated to the people, but to have just one big process in which everyone could participate. And actually, people, of course, understand the transparency, the coherency, and take part to the process. But on the other side, technicians, in particular architects and engineers, refuse to take part to the process because they had not a defined and a formal role recognized before the starting of the process. And what I suggest, and what we suggest to the municipality at the end, is that probably today technicians should become what we can say since 30 years ago, the practitioner researchers. That is like to be able to be the technician that can facilitate the knowledge around, the knowledge that is developed throughout the process. It's not that like having the role to be technician and to make the decision, but to allow different opinion, different knowledge to emerge, and then being the one that can put and can lead the process going on. Then it became, in my opinion, more important to go to a process that should become transdisciplinary. That means not seeing this process like a problem-solving model of development, but a process that faces the complexity of the urban transformation from different perspectives. The second result that I want to share is that we one of the main challenge was to explain technical content and technical issue to the people that normally are not engineers. And we decided to develop a simple language and also a pop branding for the process. And this allow us to effectively involve the people, to make them understand, and also to map the issue of the people, and starting from the issue and starting from the concern of the participants and the citizen, build the process and build the content forward. Then after the conclusion of the process, we face we feel the need to assess what the process was and how it was going, and we found some problems because we realized that we have no quantitative benchmarks on the ongoing participatory process or previous participatory process. So we had 1,000 people taking part in the process, but we don't know if they are enough, if they are too many, too much, because no other benchmark are available. So, and then what happened is that new participatory process started on the same issue, arose during the process, but they start from zero because knowledge was really difficult to make and to maintain the knowledge produced public and available. So the new research perspective on which I'm looking for feedback are divided into main themes. The first is to try to collect quantitative benchmark in order also to analyze the participation rates, but more important is to test and validate new design-based solution to make the legacy of this participatory process long-lasting and available, to allow new participatory process to start from well-established knowledge, to maintain all the issue emerge public, and also to support policy design, further policy design. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. That is a very interesting and structured presentations, really. There's a lot of problems with fake participatory process. Yes, I remember a lot of cases in Italy. So, any question here or in the virtual room? Okay, I think, thank you very much, Teresa. Okay, and now we're going to the second presentation, Johan.
Yes, if you don't mind, I give my presentation standing instead of speaking.
Yes, of
I can
course.
turn.
So, Johan Markets, Johan Canas, and Monique Borges, and the title is Territorial Dynamics of Housing, Structural Partners, Market Accessibility, and Public Policy Implications. Okay,
So just to confirm if the screen is shared, it's shared? I think so.
No, it's sharing the previous presentation, so you need to interrupt the sharing and yes, perfect. And going to pensare. Okay, perfect. So, y'all, the floor is yours.
Okay. So, good morning. Thank you for being here. So, my name is João. I'm from University of Aveiro. I'm trying to work with another João and another colleague, Monique Borges. So, the topic of my presentation is sectoral dynamics on housing in Portugal. So, the idea is not presenting the reality of the housing dynamics in Portugal, but something that can be externalized for other situations. This is the structure of my presentation. It's quite simple, so I try to research objectives. In the paper, we include a chapter where the framework in terms of policy, the context is done. So in this case, I won't go in detail, but it's quite interesting to share with you that a lot of initiatives, a lot of public policies have been done to combat the crisis of housing. Then I'll share the methodology, the results, and finally some conclusions. So the origin of this presentation, I think the topic is quite clear. So the idea is to understand more or less what is possible about the data, the housing dynamics in Portugal. So we have used some special data analysis. I think the innovation of this work is trying to do it at a more local scale. So as you may know, sometimes there's no data at this kind of spatial observation level. And in terms of specific objectives, the idea is to analyze the structure and conditions of housing stocks, also to identify the needs and the distribution of these needs across the territory. Because the territory is heterogeneous, and of course there are different needs, and there are needs that are more urgent than others. And finally, we try to understand and to assess how these changing needs can work reshaped by future demand. So, in terms of brief background, the crisis of 2008 was general around the world, but in the case of Portugal, it was stronger because we didn't have any kind of public policy that supported this problem. A lot of initiatives that we had been done, so I will not describe all of them, but just to give you an idea, all of these policies were fragmented and didn't consider the diversity of the territory. And the idea of this paper, the idea of this presentation, is to share with you that there are different territorial conditions that justify different initiatives for specific needs and problems. And one of the reasons why the public policy was not so effective is because it's not particular in Portugal, but it's a huge tension between the public initiatives and the market forces, namely regarding the tourists and investment that are so, let's say, so kind for people that want to make some profit on that. This is an overview about the methodology. So we have here that collection. Since we are doing this at micro level, one of the huge challenge of this work was trying to collect data to characterize the housing market across different dimensions. We use different sources, census data, sensitive records, public policy documentation. And since you define the main dimensions to characterize these housing patterns in Portugal, we applied, as I said before, some multivariate analysis, namely principal component analysis, in order to analyze which were the main indicators for the problem that we want to solve. And then we use a combination of cluster analysis and regression analysis to assess the spatial structure of the housing market in Portugal. In the end, we had these territorial profiles which reflects this diversity across the territory. This is the key variables that we have used. Just to this table summarize the main variables. Of course, we can see a lot of diversity. It's quite easy to understand that the territory is not equal, so we have different differences across every special unit. But the main point here is that if you have different special characteristics, we have to deal properly with these characteristics. This is the first result. So in this case, we try to aggregate these initial variables in three main dimensions, and it was clear that three types of problems can be done using these initial variables. One dimension, let's say one big indicator, is this housing and supply indicator. So these indicator collect or join a lot of variables that measures the threshold balance between available housing and demographic changes. Then we had another dimension, which was the affordability indicator. This is particularly important because it measures the access that the people has to buy a house. It's a kind of balance between the income and the prices of the houses. And finally, we found another third dimension, which was the new demand patterns that capture the trends in terms of the kind of market activity and also the use and the tenor of the properties. So since we have these three dimensions, we map all of these indicators, and it is clear that the big structure is quite the same between the three. We have, let's say, two realities in terms of the countries. So we have the coastal area, which is more dense, where the variation of population is higher. This is a special structure that measure the dynamics of different municipalities, and we have here in the coastal area, of course, a more dynamic territory, and of course the prices and the demand is also quite high. But in terms of the affordability, and this was interesting point of this paper, because we thought that the question of affordability, it was only in the metropolitan areas in part of the coastal area, but it's not. We can see in some municipalities in the interior part, in the inland part of the country, that there are problems in terms of balance between the prices and the income. Of course, the prices of the houses are low, but the income are much lower, so the difference between them, it's a problem as well. So I will not explore in detail these three dimensions because we're trying to join these dimensions together, and we have, let's say, a synthesis of this special structure. And it was clear that we have a cluster that is the municipalities with low dynamic, which is placed in the interior of the country. In this case, we have a low dynamic in terms of the supply of housing. So the market activity is quite low. The prices are also low. So in this blue area is the places where the houses are, in terms of the prices are low, but these are the places where people don't go to live. Then the orange cluster is the coastal area, which includes also some districts, capitals of these districts, which are the areas which with high prices and incomes, and the activity in terms of the market houses are moderated, and the housing market is more dynamic in transition and rentals in this case. And finally, let's say the hotspots of the country, which is the third cluster, which includes the municipalities of the metropolitan areas and the part of the Algarve, which is a very touristic part of the country. This is the first result based on the principal component analysis. But then we apply another approach, which is more simple to understand, I guess, but the results that anticipate the conclusions are quite similar. In this case, we capture two major problems of housing accessibility, which is, as I said before, the housing affordability, which is a balance between the prices and the income. And another important dimension is the supply-demand balance that reflects the difference between the supply and the demand. So this diagram is quite simple to understand. So we apply here a function, and this function just divides the territory into parts. In this case, the municipalities that have the price higher than to be expected considering the income, and this part is the opposite. And then we have two more axes that divide. It's an axis that divides the median. It's above and below the median. So based on these three axes, we define 6 parts of the territory, and we have here, for example, just to give an example, yellow is high income, high prices, and the balance is balanced but costly markets. So we try to define this in order to define another way to capture these special the spatial structure. We did the same, so this is for each of these two important dimensions. Then we joined these two dimensions in order to do the same exercise that we have done before. And I'll not explain in detail what this is because you see more or less the spatial structure is quite similar than the previous one, but it's quite easy. It's more easy. It's easier to understand which particularity of this territory is based on these four variables in these four dimensions. So just to conclude, we have used these spatial analysis at local level in order to capture this spatial structure in terms of housing. We combine demographic and housing market and socio-economic data, and we test these two approaches in order to have these characteristics of the territory. Both methods show similar patterns, but in our opinion, the second one some highlights about the results. We have heterogeneity across territory, as expected, but we have to distinguish between availability and effective accessibility, because in some part of the territories there are houses, but are not accessible because the prices are high or the people want to go there. Also, it's important to highlight the vulnerable and low-income groups, not only the people that are that are older, but in the case it's not explored in this paper, some young people that have their jobs in the metropolitan area, they face these kind of problems. In terms of this spatial heterogeneity, it is important to highlight something that is obvious. We have this metropolitan and coastal area, in which the pressure is quite high. We have some regions in the interior which are associated with a stagnant housing market, but we have to highlight some inland district capitals in which we show an unexpectedly high demand and affordable stress. So it is important to see that not only in the big cities the problem of housing appear. In terms of policy recommendations, housing challenge go beyond supply because there are problems in terms of inequality, affordability, and sometimes special mismatch. And policies that are based on one fits all are not effective. So we have to see this diversity of the territory and try to implement these initiatives in order to respond to the specific needs. We know that some public policy must be agnostic at some time, so we don't have to do specific public policies for each individual, of course, but some policies that are ignoring the specificities of the territory is not consequent. So in terms of strategies, we must fit local realities and needs in terms of housing dynamics, demographics, and housing stocks as well. So of course, this must be done coordinating the national and municipality structures. I really enjoy your presentation. Of course, the participatory process is important, involving people is important, but those people sometimes are not the people that are beside. So this coordination at lower level and high level is very important. It must be done if you want to be consequent with the measures. We have to improve, of course, our public programs in terms of effectiveness and in terms of long-term run. So sometimes, since we have problems that are so big, we have to assume that the solution is not for tomorrow. We have to understand that it takes time. Then another important issue, we have to develop a process that can monitor our initiatives in order to adjust anything that cannot be effective. And the monitoring and evaluation tools are very important. In evaluation tools here does not mean only monitoring, means also doing some kind of ex-ante and ex-post evaluation in order to assess the effectiveness of the policies. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, João. Very interesting. Appreciate all of your methods, researchers. I think that there are many social implications about it. I think this is a start point to analyze and maybe future effect on shaping cities. I think it's the base. So, any questions?
So I have one question about if you have any plans, like future plans regarding the last topic about how to develop the frameworks, because I think, as you said, very good, the work, thank you for the presentation, very nice, like very good baseline to start to understand. But when we're talking about like public policy and housing policy, we need to understand better the inside each group, like the characteristics and how can we tackle each problem. Do you have any plans to like future work to do that?
This piece of work is based on a broader work of it's kind of research project, and it was funded by a center in Portugal. And in this case, we just had to characterize the reality of Portugal. But in the end, we tried to highlight some measures. I tried to share with you some of them, but are some ideas. So this is another process, and of course, the complexity of the housing dynamic is so high that we have to see how to deal with that.
Thank you. Other questions? Okay, thank you very much, João. So I moved here because the other two presentations are in virtual mode. So I'm just to. Okay. I don't know if we have a problem because I don't see Najada Firza. There are two presentations, but the speaker is not online. Yes, I'm going to do the last. Yes.
There are three big
It's the two presentation of Najada Firza.
okay.
Yes. Because I see here the other speaker and follow Gister, that it's the PC member. I think I asked you.
Okay. Even the last one is not presented.
See, we start with this and we see if the speaker comes. I don't know. Okay. So we go to the last because I don't see the speaker. So the next one is Abimbola Afolaya. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I present you this paper speak about enhancing malaria control in Nigeria, a data-driven approach to prioritizing insecticide-treated net assessment. Abimbola, yes, I can see your slide.
I've
You
shared
can
it. Please, can you see my slide?
what?
Can you see my slide? Can you see my slide?
Yes. Maybe you can enlarge it.
Oh, it's already enlarged.
Yeah, the presentation. Maybe close the document recovery. Make the presentation.
Okay, should I start? So good morning, everyone. My
Yes.
name is Abimbola Elena Folayan, and my topic is enhancing malaria control in Nigeria, a data-driven approach to prioritizing insecticide-treated net assessments. And these are the outline of the presentation. As we all know, the World Malaria Report reported in 2023 that Nigeria accounted for 31.1% of global malaria deaths in 2022. In Nigeria, malaria remains a major threat despite a global efforts. And there are some core interventions that has been provided. We have the long-lasting insecticide-treated nets, the indoor residual spraying, larval source management and preventive treatment. Among all these interventions, the most widely used in Nigeria is the long-lasting insecticide nets. Insecticide-treated nets are a key prevention tool, offering protection against the mosquito that transmits malaria. Why insecticide-treated nets are very, very effective? Their impact is limited by wear, low access, and inconsistent use. So these challenges highlight the need for better coordination in the use of insecticide-treated nets across multiple levels of decision making. When in Nigeria, we have 3 tiers governments. We talk about the national level, the state level, and the local government level. So at the local government level, the community health workers engage. They are the ones that engage directly with household and end users. And community health workers play a critical role in translating policy into action, yet they are frequently excluded from important decision-making process. So therefore, this study...
Sorry, Abimola, but we don't see we see only the first slide.
Really? Okay, maybe I should just stop it and...
So maybe, yes.
Can you see it now?
No, nothing.
Okay. Let me stop the sharing and share again.
You stop now we don't see nothing. You stop the sharing. Maybe.
I'm sharing the window.
Abimbola?
Can you see it now, please?
Yes, we see the slide number 5.
Yes,
It's
can
correct.
you see it now? Can you see it now, please?
Yet maybe close the chatbot.
It's yours.
At my, yes, okay.
So I'm already sharing it. Can you see it now?
Yeah, okay. You can restart.
So, like I was saying before, I said these challenges highlight the need for better coordination in the use of insecticides treated nets across multiple levels of decision making, most especially at the local government level, where the community health workers engage directly with household and end users. And community health workers play a critical role in translating policies into action, yet they are frequently excluded from important decision making. So therefore, this study uses analytic hierarchy process to assess insecticide treated net from the perspective of community health workers, focusing on 8 criteria. So these are the research questions. In this research, we want to know the factors that influence the effectiveness of insecticide-treated nets in malaria prevention from the perspective of community health workers, and we want to apply analytic hierarchy process to be able to evaluate and prioritize these factors systematically. Also, we want to know which criteria uh, is most critical for optimizing insecticide-treated net distribution and use, and we will also want to measure how we can incorporate community health workers' perspective to improve design and implementation of malaria control strategies in Nigeria. So the specific objective of this research is to apply analytic hierarchy process to evaluate key criteria influencing the effectiveness of insecticide-treated nets in malaria control from the perspective of community health workers. So figure 2 here represents the conceptual framework. So in this research, the goal is to evaluate insecticide-treated nets effectiveness using analytic hierarchy process from the perspective of community health worker. And the
Sorry, Abimbola, we see we see only the slide number 5. I don't see
really,
the other.
well, I'm sharing it, so I don't know.
You're in relator presentations mode. Maybe you need to share the first screen, because we don't see the change on the slide shifting.
Okay.
Share the wrong page.
Yes, you shared the wrong page.
Okay, did I need to share the entire screen?
Now we don't see nothing. Try again, maybe.
Can you see this, please?
Yes, maybe try to go to the slide number 10.
Could you please put it into the slideshow mode?
Can you see it?
You change.
Okay.
Yes,
let's
it's
see.
slide 10. This is slide 11. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, now yes. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I stop at slide 9, where I was talking about the conceptual framework of this research, and I mentioned that the research objective is to evaluate insecticide treated net effectiveness using analytic hierarchy process from the perspective of community health workers. And I also mentioned that the research utilize both primary and secondary data sources. So the primary data were collected from 40 community health workers in Akure, a small, this capital of Ondo State, a state in Nigeria, and the questionnaire is a structured questionnaire, and it's divided into two major sessions. The first session talks about the demographics of the respondents, and the second session measure the insight, the perceptions of community health workers in regarding insecticide treated nets. And the secondary data is based on the literature and on the Federal Ministry of Health guidelines. And from there, we were able to, we got 8 criteria, which are affordability, availability, accessibility, acceptability, suitability, and previous experience, belief, and malaria knowledge. And we apply analytic hierarchy process to prioritize the ICN criteria. And like I mentioned, the study target community health workers in Akure, and we have a total of 40 community health workers who responded to the questions, and we use a purposive sampling to ensure that participants had relevant field experience with the distribution of insecticide-treated nets and malaria interventions. So I'll talk about the primary data, the data collection and instrumentation. So in general, AHP is a structure or multi-criteria decision-making tool that helps prioritize factors by comparing them in pairs and assigning weights based on their relative importance. So in this research, we adopted the AHP approach that comprises of 5 steps. So the first thing we did is to structure the AHP model hierarchically and to construct AHP comparison matrix for decision criteria. And the third step is to calculate normalized eigenvector. And the fourth step is to obtain the priority vector weight. And in obtaining the priority vector weight, we check for consistency. And if consistency ratio is less than 0.1, it's acceptable, and it will definitely rank the decision criteria in order of priority. But if consistency ratio is more than 0.1, it will go back. From the flow chart, we can see that it will go back and restructure the AHP model hierarchically. And this is the hierarchical structure of the AHP model. It consists of 3 levels. The first level talks about the goal of the problem that we are dealing with, and the second level talks about the criteria. Here we have like 8 criteria, and the third level talks about the alternative, which is the insecticide treated nets. So these are the decision criteria that we consider in this research. And table 2 describe the SATI AHP scale that we use in this research, the 9-point SATI AHP scale. And figure 5 shows the results of the pairwise comparison for all respondents. Equation 1 was used to construct the AHP pairwise comparison matrix, and equation 2 determined the normalized eigenvector. Equation 3 was used to calculate the priority weight, and equation 4 was used to generate the single matrix for priority weights. And this equation 5 was used to calculate the consistency ratio. Just like I mentioned that when the consistency ratio is below 0.1, the judgments of the community health workers are considered acceptable. But when it's higher than 0.1, it indicates inconsistency that require correction. So that was calculated using equation 5. Consistency ratio equals to consistency index divided by random index. And equation 6 was used to calculate consistency index. So from the results, table 3 presents the most critical criteria for ITN's effectiveness in malaria control. And we can see from this table that malaria knowledge rank first, while belief rank last. So discussion, this research, we try to expand the work of Mudibo et al. 2019. In his work, he also prioritized the alternatives, different alternatives for malaria control interventions. And we expanded his work by getting our insights from community health workers. So malaria knowledge ranked highest with a priority weight of 24.8, and this aligns with the research of Adebayo et al. 2015 and Idowu et al. 2007 that highlights low awareness in rural and vulnerable groups. And it also reinforces Oyinyeshi et al. 2024 findings on the role of health education in insecticide-treated net usage among pregnant women. And also from the table, we can see that previous experience ranked second with 22.9%. And this encourages long-term adoption and consistent use. And this particular result is consistent with research of Fana et al. 2015, Oyeyemi et al. 2010, up to where we have Eteng et al. 2014 that identify poor usage of insecticide-treated net despite ownership. And suitability ranked third with 16.7% due to user discomfort from heat and breathability concerns. So, and this also was echoed by Ekeleme et al. 2023. And in this research, we recommend that redesigning insecticide-treated nets for comfort and launching adaptation education campaigns. So availability ranked fourth with 8.5%, indicating issues with access and distribution. And we suggest intervention to increase reach and adoption, particularly in high-risk areas. While acceptability ranked fifth with widespread misuse for unintended purposes. So we suggested educational efforts to correct misuse and improve adherence. Affordability and accessibility rank sixth and seventh respectively. And this may be because Nigeria rely on donors like Global Fund, and there are some barriers like resale of insecticide-treated net due to hardship, poor logistic, and awareness gaps. So we suggested improved monitoring, distribution, and community engagement. So believe rank lowest, but still it's hindered the usage of insecticide-treated nets. So, and this may be because Nigeria, there are some Nigerians that their beliefs are still rooted in distrust of Western intervention and low perceived malaria risk. So this can be addressed through cultural tailored campaigns and involvement of local leaders. So this research apply AHP to prioritize insecticide-treated net assessment criteria from the viewpoint of community health workers. And it also revealed that malaria knowledge and previous experience are key drivers of insecticide-treated use. So these findings provide practical guidance for improving malaria intervention and offer scalable, replicable methods for evaluating prevention strategies at local, state, and national level. These are the references. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imbola. Also, this is a very relevant topic. I think that the social implication is the common topic of. So there are some questions. Any questions? No? Okay, so thank you very much, Imbola, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. I have here about the time the other speaker. We have 40 minutes. We can close here the session, or we can discuss together with the three presentations. Okay, it's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye, Bimbola.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Reza, I closed the virtual room. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, because the other two papers were scheduled on 11:10, so.
You need to score on no show.
Okay. Okay. And sorry, yesterday I lost my voice.
You were singing in the video?
A little bit, yes. Okay. So we can get a coffee or tea together. Exactly.
Sono un po' provata a chiamarla così, però Alessandra sono vista lì.
Poi tutti il francese qua sono bello.
Però dai, una mezz'oretta dopo cominciamo a dire che forse la stata scappando, forse.
Ok.
Grazie.
Oggi.
Poi alla fine c'è il coffee break.
Mi senti meglio?
Sì.
Avevo paura dei tempi, ma è cambiato un po'.
Ok.
Va meglio, grazie.
So finished. I completed the questionnaires online for the presentation.
Just to keep your evaluation. That's all.
Okay.
Is today, obviously. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, no.
Don't worry.
Devo farlo. Secondo te sì?